will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So this idea of a basic income, you say, what's the justification? I mean, if you're conservative, you say, how dare you, you freaky liberal, communist, socialist freak? How dare you? You're an idiot. And so they throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, hear me out. And I contend that it's your training. That's why it's such a departure in your thought system, because your paradigm, the pattern that you're used to, for your reality that you've chosen, that you've adopted, that you cling to, and okay, it is fraudulent. Okay, it's fraudulent. And the one I'm talking about, it only looks like a huge departure, but if you turn to God for counsel and advice on what credos and thinking and philosophies you should have, belief system you should have, okay, it's not that far out. Okay, to me, it's not. I see it as clear as light of day. I mean, if I'm a savant, that's where it is. It's just like, I just don't understand the vast majority of people that don't get it. They don't see how glaringly clear the things I'm talking about are, how we could fix our problems so easily. We could have prevented them so easily. So the degree of tyranny we're willing to accept, I mean, the sky's the limit. We're messed up, man. We're in it deep, and we need to first of all admit that we're failed, and then understand how we're being duped, how we're being deceived, taken, how we're being forced to keep feeding the beast more and more and more. And the status quo, the establishment, they go along with it. So many people out there that just, that say, oh, America's the best house in a bad neighborhood. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, what kind of an honor is that? We're Americans. We're supposed to be setting the example. It's our failures. We're starting the failure. If it's failing around the world, it's because we started this ball rolling by tolerating the tyranny. And we're being tyrannized. They're turning us into a renter class. Do you understand the majority of California residents are now renters? Do you get it? There's tangible evidence there. Nobody can refute it. Nobody can deny it. Nobody can argue these facts. This is how we're being duped. Okay? So what's the basis? So understand, if you're a conservative, a basic income, crime would plummet. You're going to save a lot of buku bucks in paying taxes. Yes, it sounds very liberals, gotta love it, okay? But more importantly, more paramount to the decision to do something like that is just understanding that this earth is everybody's, okay? Whose planet is this? It's everybody's, because it's God's. God gave it to his children. That's all of us. We all have an inherited right to share in the wealth of this planet, okay? That's the basis. And this idea that society would fall apart, prove it. Explain how we've been going the opposite direction for decades and decades and decades, since they murdered JFK when we had this coup. Explain. So when was the last time you remember America not having a willing workforce? See, in order to blame the workers, that'd be your argument, that the workers are lazy and they're not willing. By pointing to the homeless, saying, well, they're just, they can't cut the mustard. And, I'm not going to talk about crony capitalism. You hurt my head. I mean, I don't want to understand it that far. I just want to understand what I believe. And, ignorance is bliss, and shut up. Don't bother me with the facts. Don't bother me with the truth. Or, I try to see through the lies and deception that I've been trained to believe is okay to believe. And just accept going with the path of least resistance, and accept the Overton window. I mean, who are you? So you just playing some intellect, and I'm not going for it. I get how people think. I understand. And people are scared. They really, really love financial freedom. They really love financial security. Security is being out of fear. It's very comforting for people to have financial security, right? You're out of fear, secure, free. Yeah. Not under bondage, not under tyranny, not being oppressed. But the thing is that we're in this thing together. And you could try all you want. You can really see, here's the problem, is that perception is reality. So people are deceived. So their perception, they're deceived, so they don't know it. They believe that they're happy. So their perception is reality. They're happy because they believe it. You understand? Their perception is what they believe. But it's totally disconnected from the true reality that we are one family. And the only way we will ever find true happiness is by coming to that realization and accepting our fellow man as an equal equally beloved child of God, that God loves everybody. I mean, what kind of parents? Could you imagine if you come from a big family, really big family? I mean, you hear some, I mean, families can reach up to 20 kids or something, right? Same mother and same dad, right? It happens sometimes. So, um, could you imagine what you'd think of your parents if they played favorites and there was no justification for it? Okay, you wouldn't respect them. So God can't do that. We got the instinct to love our children equally from God. So why would we ever do that? It would be stupid. It would be illogical, unreasonable. Do you understand? It would defy our sensibilities, our instincts to be sensible people, to think rightly. And so we just wouldn't do it. So we need to tap into the logic that's being offered to all of us. You know, we all have an umbilical cord to God. It's called your conscience. It's called your soul. It's called those invisible qualities, your heart and your mind and your spirit. All those things that are precious to you, that you wouldn't sell for anything. Okay, not anybody in their right mind, they wouldn't sell these qualities for anything. So, you know, there's really something there, scientifically speaking, that even nobody, you know, even though it's invisible, you'll have to admit there's some power there. It's just like admitting that you'd be dead in a few minutes without the air you breathe. Well, that's science, and it's invisible. The air is invisible, right? For all intents and purposes, unless there's smoke or steam or something where then you can see it. But God is real, and we all need to understand that. And you know, this is a very powerful relationship. It's more powerful than anything we can glean from all our friends and family combined. They don't understand that kind of love. We all need it. We all need to turn to Him. We all need to accept our equal share and right and entitlement to share in this planet's wealth. Okay. So a basic income, then it becomes, yeah, okay, duh, of course, you know, from 18 years on, let's say, okay, then you're entitled to a certain amount, at least enough that's going to pay your food, your energy needs, your shelter needs, housing needs, that is, and drinkable water. No big deal. Do you understand how far your taxes could go down? We're not going to get involved in dubious wars. If a guy gets to pick and choose which battles he fights and read about it, study up, investigate for himself, do his own research, don't just believe what you're told. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 20 guys a day taking their own lives for whatever remorse they're experiencing. Vets, some of those are women too. Guys, gals, whatever. Mankind is womankind. I mean, humankind. But you could see the money lending business. We're not going in debt to the money lenders. The crime industrial complex business would be, you know, waning, to be sure, to be absolutely sure. I mean, there's still going to be some crime, but you can imagine it would plummet because the financial desperation is the primary driver. The social welfare industrial complex that's built up around these problems. You understand? They're creating jobs. I mean, we might as well just break our stuff and then teach people how to fix our stuff. That's the madness that we've learned to accept. We've been trained to accept this kind of madness. That's the thinking. That it's okay, we're just going to keep renting. It's good to take free parking away and give you paid parking. That's a good thing because it funds this and that. That's what they've convinced you. So the way they've done this, ushered this in, is through crony capitalism. So then you get fascism when the government's involved in working against the best interests of the masses, okay, city council, the supervisors, all the elected officials and legislators. All these people have an interest. They're the rent seekers. They're the beneficiaries, okay, they're the ones that are intermediaries toward the beast being fed. And at the end of the day, the beast is the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, that controls the purse strings. It's that simple. And then those high-ranking politicos that legitimize, validate whatever these people say, or they say they're, you know, it's one, you know, it's actually the other way around. It's the politicians asking for more money to bail out the banks, and so there's this disconnect of understanding because everything's convoluted deliberately so that the public is ignorant And ignorance is not bliss. It is powerless. It's a disempowerment. If knowledge is power, then you understand, okay, not knowing means being disempowered. So when you're confused, you're disempowered. When you're ignorant, you're disempowered. When you just give up, throw your hands up, say, it hurts my head, I don't want to know, I just want to know what I think I know, and end of story. I go with the path of least resistance. Ignorance is bliss, all that crap. I get it. I get why people do it. But this is how diabolical they are. Acutely diabolical, profoundly diabolical. Just diabolical to the nth degree. Diabolical through deliberation. That's like their religion, is diabolism. They're diabolists. But this is how they've done it, is they assassinate JFK, and then they, I don't know how they thought they could get away with this, how they thought the American people were so utterly cucked even in 1963, with the television. That's what they brought in, the TV first. That's probably how they got away with it. They got us, mesmerized in a spell, hypnotized, whatever. That's probably what did it. I don't know, because it doesn't seem like it's in our blood to let them get away with this. But it started then, and then they've slowly ushered it in. They started slow at first, slow boil of the frogs, and now they just, keep turning up the heat. Bill Slick Willie getting rid of the Glass-Steagall Act was like the last straw. The bailout of '08, the system was completely broken. They deliberately blew out the pipes of the economy by dumping all that money on us. So Slick Willie nearly single-handedly caused that bailout of '08 to be necessary. Well, necessary. Okay. No, 90+% of the American people are against that. So what division? They get us believing we're all divided by social, political, and economic issues. But you understand, they hide behind the veil of madness and just murky waters that they've created. And this chasm they've built between, those in the know and those out of the know. And it's just the masses. As long as the masses are at each other's throats thinking it's your fault because of the way you believe and the way you vote. No, it's your fault for the same reasons. You understand? So your eyes are off these people that are really causing all the problems in society. They're causing of course they want our eyes off them. They don't want us empowered and to come at them in one unified force, demanding justice and turn this damn ship around. Damn it now. Okay, take care of our damn people. All of us, even the weak ones, yes. Even the pathetic ones, okay? Because Jesus Christ said he was one of those. That whatsoever we do or fail to do for the least of these, we do or fail to do for him. Even though this is the Son of God and the Son of Man, the unblemished, spotless Lamb of God. So we've got to really get serious, get sober-minded, and really tackle this thing head on, and by understanding, first of all, what we're up against here and how deeply we're in. It's suffocating. I mean, it's just getting worse and worse, and California's leading the way. Alex Jones and Rowan Shore bitch about California. Well, they're not bitching about, it's not the majority Californians' fault. And remember the critical mass. Look up the term, please. It can be a minority. It's just the amount needed to get the job done. Okay, if you're weighing lead against feathers, right, on a scale, okay, what's the critical mass there to make a giant pile of feathers lift up? Do you understand? So it's just like that. Just like that. That's what's going on. Is a handful of people have the power. And then there's these intermediaries that work. Just like the rudder doesn't, you need something to turn the rudder. So there's the controls, right? The mechanisms that lead it up to the helm or the wheel, right? And that's what the establishmentarians are doing. And they say, well, you know what? I mean, there's just too many of them that are willing to close their eyes and serve the beast and just, say this is the path of least resistance. I'm just going to go with it. I can't, it's every man for himself. I mean, yeah, I know it's kind of dog eat dog, and they're getting us to devour each other, and they're telling us that competition is great and the labor market and all this. But, when it comes to them competing, no, it's wholly okay for them to have all these alliances and, these collusive special interest groups like G. Edward Griffin always talks about as these cartels. And that's what they're doing. They work together You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. Just shut up. Yeah, we know what we're doing is evil, immoral, wrong, and unethical, but it's benefiting you, it's profiting you, isn't it? And what do you care about your stupid soul, conscience, all that nonsense, integrity? Those things aren't going to pay your bills. You like a high lifestyle, so just go along with it. So it's all about the temporal. I mean, how much can you pity somebody that's just living for the temporal? These people are like ignorant little children. We have a responsibility to parent, and if we don't, then their blood is on our hands and on our head, metaphorically speaking. What is their blood? Well, they're going to go to hell. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about here. If you don't reach out to these people and do what you're instructed to by God, because it's written, he doesn't hide it. He wants to forgive these horrible, vile monsters.